All right, I think everybody can hear me now. We'd like to start the meeting. This is our public hearing for the Board of Finance. But first, if we can start with our pledge, and rise as you're able. Thank you, everyone. Just to start off, I want to have everybody up on the board to introduce yourselves. If you can start, John.
Good evening, everyone. My name is John Lennon, and part of the Board of Finance. Thank you.
Hi, Karen Foster, Board of Finance.
James Hancock, Board of Finance.
Cynthia Martindale, Board of Finance.
Brett Hearing, Comptroller of Town.
Kristen Harlow, Superintendent of Schools. Jen Mario, Director of Finance and Business Operations for the schools.
Scott Clayton, Board Chair.
All right, thank you, everybody. I want to start off with just a couple of key numbers. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and I know a lot of people get their information from Facebook. I don't. You don't ever see my name on there. But we've worked on this budget for 2 or 3 months now, some of us longer. The overall budget is a 5.21% increase. The town side of that budget is a 3.82, and the school side is a 6.17. So the dollar amounts, the new ask on top of last year is almost $5 million, $4,815,415. The town side is $1.4 million increase over last year's budget, and the school board is almost 3.376 over last year's budget. I think everybody knows in this room that there was a huge increase in health care, and that's what drove this budget. That's the majority of this increase, and also the contract of obligations. The teachers all deserve raises, obviously, and they're at a 4.43. So between the health care and the increase on the teaching, everything else is pretty flat. So that's how we got to a 5.21% increase. The current mill rate is 29.17, and everybody knows what that is. It's a mill rate. Every $1,000 you're paying $29.17 on. The new projected mill rate will be 30.33. The mill rate increase is 3.98. So that is the mill rate increase. Usually each year we have the grand list grows, and then obviously that gets taken down on our new ask. This year our mill rate did not, our grand list did not grow like it normally does because the state took the calculations of cars. So I know everybody's car is going to be a little bit cheaper, but you're not going to remember that when you get your tax bill for your house, obviously. But your cars will be a little bit less. The Board of Selectmen made a small adjustment because Hartford made a small adjustment. We're picking up a little bit of it, but your car will be decreased. It's a different way they calculate it, so it's complicated, but that's where we get a 3.98. There was no big increase in the grand list this year because between the veterans program and the way they do the cars basically ate up any grand list increases we had this year. So that's where we're at. Obviously, we have a lot of people here. I want to try to get this down to a 2-minute. I think everybody can express their views in 2 minutes. And if we do well, there's not a lot of people to speak, we'll go around. But this is all pretty much a volunteer crew here, besides obviously down the end of the table, and Scott is obviously volunteer with the chair of the board of ed. You know, we all have day jobs, we get tired, but we're here to listen to you guys. So if we go around again and everybody feels good, we'll be glad to do that. So everybody that's speaking tonight should be a registered voter in Bethel and live in Bethel, obviously, so that's important. Mary Churchill is down here. She's going to have you register your name and address for the minutes, and your name will be part of the record that you spoke in favor or against, whatever way you go. So we can start with a line if you like. And Billy Michaels will adjust the mic for everybody tonight.
All
Hutchinson, 182 Greenwood Avenue, apartment 102. First, I'd like to thank all of you who volunteer for this job. It is a thankless job, and I've watched how hard it is for Board of Finances to deal with the town of Bethel's budget over the years. That being said, I know that many people here are for the education budget, so I am going to speak to the library budget. The library budget was dropped by over $3,000 from their current level, and then their increase of over $3,000, their $3,000 increase was taken away, and then they were dropped by additional $3,000. Yeah, those numbers are correct. Or more. So it's about a $7,000 drop in what they were hoping to get for this year. One of the things that I think we need to think about with the kind of economy that we may be facing, it looks like the federal government is not going to be passing down the kind of income that funds so many programs, education, town projects, so and so. The town will the town will never see that. The state will also, as a reaction, have to cut back on the kinds of things that they fund because they're funded by the Fed. Though, therefore, everything will land in the lap of the municipalities, which is impossible for us to make up that kind of deficit. Where do you go when you lose your job? You go to the library. You can use the computers. You can use the reference stacks. You can take your children there to borrow books. There's education. There is entertainment. There are all kinds of services that I know have been enumerated on Facebook and a lot of other places that talk about the value of the library. And our library is used fully. The other thing is if it ends up impacting, and I know that you only ever affect the bottom line for a library, but if you take that much money out, it cannot help but affect staffing. So where's the unemployment money going to come from? We're really working at cross purposes in some ways, and I would like to have you really consider, can I make a motion?
No, this is a public hearing, there's no motion to make.
There's no motion within a
There
public
is
hearing?
none. And you're at 2 minutes, I'll let you finish wrapping up.
That's really what I wanted to say, is I think that a library is the net in difficult times, and you can't, I think you ought to rethink losing that net. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, 47 and a half Linwood Avenue. The library number here, where it's got $985,000, that's the budget for the library. But that's not the cost of what it costs the library. Because, like, are the benefits for the salaries in this?
Billy, the library and the Board of Ed are a bottom line account.
Yeah.
They have to carry all the healthcare costs, all their increase in their union contract salaries. So everything is in there, I believe, except the electric bill. And I'm sorry, Brad?
So the library, the town, outside of the library budget, carries health insurance for the library, carries utilities. This is just the cost for the operations of the library outside of those.
Yeah.
Similar to the Board of Ed, the town pays for the Board of Ed utilities. They pay for their own health insurance, but, so there are other costs buried in the town budget for the library.
The heat is not in this,
That's
the heat is an additional cost, right? Lighting, you said, water, the town pays big water. for
All the utilities.
Yeah, well, I'm saying, this doesn't tell us what it really, if you came to this meeting and you wanted to know what the library cost, the $985,000 is a big portion of it, but it is not the true cost of the library. And that's the problem with taxpayers and government. There's so much stuff folded in other places. So that's what my point is. This is not the cost of the library. It's distributed evenly throughout other budgets. You did a great job on the budget, and I'm going to vote no because I think the 4%, the 3.9% increases way too much after COVID, or COVID and the inflation and COVID and everything else that's gotten us. But you did a good job. I know the Board of Finance fabulous people.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
As point of order, just about the feedback that's coming from all the microphones that's in the booth.
We are getting feedback. I think I'm standing back a little bit. Is there anything up there in the booth you can do? All right, they don't want to communicate. They're doing their best they can.
Hi, my name is Penny Kessler, 22 Spring Hill Lane. Thank you to the members of the Board of Finance for taking on this task of funding the needs of our town. It is a tough job, especially for the volunteers. Let me start by saying this. Several weeks ago, someone commented at a town meeting that, quote, "the soccer moms always come out to support the budget." Well, my husband and I are boomers. We raised 3 millennials here at Bethel, and I guarantee you I was never a soccer mom. We were, however, parents who gave a damn about making sure that their kids received quality educations and are now making sure that the next generations get the same. On C-SPAN, reclaiming my time. You had to be there. Some of you may remember that in 2004, the New England Association of Schools and Colleges placed Bethel High School on probation. They cited concerns about the condition of the school building, which had been built in 1970, including outdated science classrooms and labs, overcrowding, inadequate athletic, music, and art facilities. This was during the turbulent years of budget battles that focused mainly on the schools. In spite of this, my 3 children received top-notch educations and are now productive professionals precisely because of the teachers, administrators, and guidance counselors. So when I hear about the massive cuts to the school budget, and I know that already some teachers and staff have been laid off, I wonder, are we going back to that scary dime? Our students deserve to know that the adults in the room care about them. Do we really want to go back 20 years? I say no. And I urge the Board of Finance to restore the funding for our schools, the very educational system that draws families to our town, and ditto to what Alice said about the library. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Sally Agello. I live at 65 Codfish Hill Road. I'm a Bethel resident and mom of 3 children that are currently in the Bethel public school system. Our family moved here about 12 years ago, and we were looking for a small knit community and good schools, and Bethel fit both of those. We needed a location that was close to the city so my husband could commute, and we settled here. We've never regretted our decision. My children have had amazing teachers over the years that pushed them to do their best, met them where they were when they were struggling, and collaborated with us as parents. My oldest, who gave me permission to share this information, who just turned 18 this week, was diagnosed with autism at a very young age. When we received his diagnosis, we jumped into research mode and wanted to learn anything and everything we could as fast as we could. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest things that set the trajectory for his future was early intervention. And sadly, before this budget even got to the Board of Ed, preschool was cut to a half day. And I can tell you that seeing what we've seen with my son, I think that the long-term effects of that decision alone, we're going to see for years to come. Much of my son's success and progress over the years lies squarely with him. His determination and attitude to never give up were key drivers, but there's absolutely no way he would have made the progress that he's made without a supportive school team that worked collaboratively with us at home. And that's exactly what Bethel Public Schools has done since the first day he walked into Berry School. He's in his last few years of high school now, and as I reflect back on all the regular ed teachers, special education teachers, school psychologists, speech and language pathologists, OT, ABA providers, and administrators that helped him along the way, I'm in awe of each and every one of them. And I could never repay those people that have been in his life and made such a huge difference. And you know what? He's only one kid. He's one of many that these teachers and administrators help guide and teach every single day. So, in closing, and I'll probably get to 2 minutes, we must recognize the long-term impact of this budget. The investments we make today will pay off far into the future, and likewise, if we choose to cut staff, make class sizes larger, take away activities that make our schools special, and literally some are the only motivation to get some of our students through the front doors, we will see those long-term effects, both educationally and financially, for years to come. So the budget's not just about numbers, it's about people, it's about the students in our classrooms, the teachers in our schools, the parents supporting their children, and our community that rallies around education. I'm grateful to be a member of this community, and I'm asking as a parent, an advocate, and community member to fully fund our schools, and if not at a minimum, reinstate the $750,000 that was most recently reduced by the Board of Finance. Ideally, the original budget, first presented by Dr. Carver's reinstated to align with the rising cost of healthcare, inflation, in order to meet the needs of our students. Our schools deserve this, our educators deserve this, most of all, our kids need it.
Randy Oysher, 34 Hollow Road. I'll spare you the story of my son who completed his high school year in 2020 at nearly 22 years old because he too was a special ed student. I'll spare you the fact that one of the students that he came to know during unified sports went on to a higher education in a related field and is now working in the very program at Ability Beyond that is helping my son grow and flourish even more. I won't tell you about the wonderful staff that got him to where he is, a young man who is comfortable in a kitchen, who can follow a recipe, who wants to help the other residents of his group home. You don't need to hear that. What you do need to hear is that I want the same for the next generation of students in Bethel, and I would like you to restore the money that was taken from the proposed education budget. But I'd also like to address the library. For nearly 13 years, I was a volunteer at the Bethel Public Library, primarily in the children's department. And I can tell you that the library was always underfunded. There was never enough money for books, for videos, for supplies, for staffing, and they relied heavily on volunteers, which are getting few and far between. I'd like to see you restore the money to the library budget as well.
My name is Jennifer Schenkel. I live at 4 Old Dodgingtown Road here in Bethel. I'm here because I had a child graduate from Bethel, and I have one in the high school now. I want to let you know that 5 years ago, during the pandemic, I chose to move to Connecticut. I chose to move to Bethel. I have no family here. I could have gone to New Jersey. I could have gone to New York. I knew how high the taxes were. I moved from Indiana, where the taxes were very, very small. But I thought, maybe mistakenly, that my high taxes were going to ensure that I would get high-quality public services, like the education for my child. Everybody's got a story, because everybody is impacted. Everybody is touched by the library, by the teaching staff. It's all how we come together as a community. It's how we're educated. It has value. My older daughter had a stutter. She participated in musical theater. It helped her overcome that. It helped her focus. She's got ADHD. She interacted here at the music program. She was never able to participate in marching band before. We welcomed her here in Bethel. She learned that. Her grades went up. She's now studying to be a music educator because she admires the teachers here. Is being cut, and to me, honestly, it's arbitrary. There's money in Hartford. We need to go after it, and we need to do more than nothing.
Hi, I'm Mary from 8 Quaker Ridge Road, Mary. My children graduated in 2013 and 2014, and they were highly successful students because of the music program with Mrs. Neville and Commander and the ROTC. Both programs catch kids who could fall through the cracks and be delinquents. I spoke to my daughter Julia today, who spent 8 years in the Marine Corps because of her time in the music program and the ROTC. She did both. And she herself said, ROTC catches every delinquent. Having Commander and the people in the hallway say, young man, take off your hat. And all those things that they taught the kids how to do. We can't not have that. We're here in Bethel, and we're gonna be here in Bethel and probably retire here in Bethel. I'm tired of being in voting. First of all, I'm tired of being pressured to vote for a budget that everybody says is great. We hear it's great on the roadways, and then we hear the taxes are too high. Let's make a budget that is great, that doesn't cancel important programs like, I know, like the band and the choir and the music education, but also the ROTC. That has places for disabled children as much as it has developmentally disabled kids, as much as it has for regular kids. And let's pass a budget that is successful for all those things. I want to vote for a budget that I feel confident in, because the budget goes up every year. Every single year it goes up. And my taxes, my mortgage, it's impossible to live, but if we must, let's make it the best we can and not get rid of these vital programs that we've had all these years. So that means we're going to get rid of them now because we don't have any money. How long have we been thinking about getting rid of music programs in ROTC? I just heard today we won't even know until after the budget passes what you're getting rid of. Maybe I don't understand exactly how it works, but let's not get rid of it. We got to catch delinquents before they become that, and ROTC and music does a lot of that. So anyway, that's my story, and I also really think the library is great. So I don't know, what do we get rid of? We can't. It's a difficult decision, and I respect all of you, but I do think the ROTC and the music is vital.
I just want a point of information that the Board of Finance is a body. We do not have any jurisdiction over any line item in either the education budget or the library. So that's a bottom line number. So I just want to say, if anything, whatever is cut or whatever is eliminated is not by us. We have no power to do that. I just want to clarify that.
This is the public hearing. Thank you. Dr. Carter, would you like to add to anything?
It's accurate. I mean, obviously, any type of reduction is going to affect programs. So but technically you are true. And if I could just add a point to the speaker before last, one of the reasons that we can't make decisions now about what we're going to cut, and that ultimately will come from the Board of Ed, depending upon where the budget lands, is there's still a lot in motion. I would strongly advocate for you. And I know for parents here, I have put it in my newsletters. I'm happy to send it out again tomorrow. There are a couple of really important bills in Hartford before the legislature. One to increase education cost sharing grant to the town of Bethel, which could make a significant impact on any type of reduction we have. And the other one is an excess cost, which is a reimbursement that we get. It's a grant for reimbursement for services for students with disabilities. So the speaker that did speak about Hartford, it's 100% correct. We still have an opportunity to change the grants that can come into our community. And that means that reaching out to our delegation, and I'm happy, I will make a point in my newsletter this week to put in some talking points around those so that you can continue to advocate for those. Thank you.
Rob Jackson, 2060 Wood Drive. In the budget, there's very few departments in town that actually make money. It's all money going out for repairs and things like that. Parks and Rec, why are we cutting 10% of their programs? They make money for the town. Things like
What was I missed, who did you cut? I'm sorry?
Parks and Rec, the programs are down 10%.
We didn't make any cuts to Park and Rec. Yeah, I'm sorry, Brett.
So, working with the not Public Works, Park and Rec Director, you see the salary line is up. We moved some of the $80,000 that was in the program account to the salary line because it was salaries, so it's much easier for the Parks and Rec Director to track. There was no reduction. The $80,000 was just moved from that line to the salary line.
And if I can add just one more thing. Park and Rec last year was in trouble by $300,000. This Board of Finance gave the $300 to make them whole. So we support the Park and Rec. It's a good program, and a lot of people use it.
The other thing I want to mention is we were speaking about Hartford. I'm assuming that the state has mandates that force the town of Bethel to provide services for people. And I'm assuming that since the state is mandating it and saying we have to do that, that they're fully funding it. Yes, because they're mandating it, so we obviously wouldn't provide the programs unless they were paying for it, right?
That is incorrect. Last year, it was in my original budget presentation. Since 2015 up until 2023, I believe, or 2024, the state had 267 mandates that we were responsible to implement. And since that time, there have been increasing amounts. I know the Board of Finance knows I write testimony almost daily to Hartford. Every time I see bills that come up, you really, it could be a full-time job for me just to track it and to see what those are. But it does have a significant impact because we are mandated to provide lots of different services and programs.
So why don't we just not provide those services?
If we didn't, we could be at risk of losing grant funding that we do get from the state. So Bethel currently received, well, last year I believe we received a little over $8 million, and that's a revenue offset of the budget. In the education cost sharing grant, in the governor's proposed budget, it's a little over $10 million.
Yeah, so in the current year, the state's sending us $8.6 million in ECS money, equal cost sharing. The governor's proposing that put at 10.1. The biggest thing that we need to go after the state for is the excess cost.
The excess cost grant, the special ed grant is even more important. And that gives us real-time reimbursement to provide the services we're legally, morally, and obligated to provide our children. So that's a big piece there. I mean, if any of you read my newsletter regularly, over the course of this year, the town of Bethel, the last 3 years, has lost about $1.5 million in excess cost grant money. And so we're really advocating strongly for full funding of excess costs, but even any increase. I mean, the governor recently put out that he was going to, in the legislature did, they put $43 million into the grant. The problem is the cost of it is actually over $100 million. So we're not getting back these grants that we used to get in the past, although education cost sharing did go up, but they could take it away, to answer your question.
How do we force them to pay?
You would all have to actively contact your legislatures and specifically request, and like I said, I promise you I'll put it in my newsletter this week, the exact wording that you would need, because there's certain bills that are really out there right now. But you know, we vote people to represent us and we really need to contact our delegation to advocate. I will say I believe our delegation truly believes in this, so I don't want to say that they don't, but the more pressure, that's how anything gets done, right? The more pressure that we put on as citizens, the more impact we'll have.
Is there a way for the town to organize or not really?
No, absolutely. And I mean, how many of you, just because I'm interested, how many of you did write when I put out there that you should write? So we just got to keep doing it. We just got to keep doing it. I mean, one of our fabulous civics teachers at the high school had our students write, and it does make an impact. And the difference I'm going to say this time is I think you also need to write Governor Lamont. It's one thing to write our local delegation, but I also think that he needs to hear from the citizens of Connecticut how important this is.
I'll go through a rock, sorry.
Jessica Ferguson, 139 Walnut Hill Road. Good evening, esteemed members of the Board of Education, fellow parents, educators, and community members. I am a mother of 2 children who are thriving within the Bethel public education system. I have diligently attended our education budget meetings, closely followed Dr. Carver's communications, and reviewed her comprehensive presentations. It is with a heavy heart that I express my deep concern over the proposed budget cuts to our education, which threaten to dismantle critical programs and result in the loss of invaluable teaching positions. Such reductions are not just fiscal adjustments, they are decisions that will permeate through the very fabric of our community. Our town of Bethel has exemplified fiscal responsibility while achieving educational excellence. According to the Bethel Public Schools financial dashboard, Bethel's per pupil expenditure for the academic year was $18,533, which is lower than many surrounding towns. Despite this, our students continue to excel, reflecting the efficiency and dedication of our educators and administrators. However, the proposed cuts threaten to reverse this progress. Reducing funding may lead to larger class sizes, diminished extracurricular offerings, and strained resources, all factors that could deteriorate the quality of education. This decline not only hampers student development, but also makes our town less attractive to prospective homeowners and businesses. Let us not become a shadow of the towns around us. Investing in high-quality education is not just about imparting knowledge, it's about building a prosperous community. Research shows that homes located in areas with highly rated schools tend to have higher property values than those in the areas with lower rated schools. This correlation underscores the intrinsic link between educational excellence and economic vitality. The proposed budget reductions are not isolated fiscal measures. They are catalysts for a cascade of negative outcomes. Reduced funding can lead to diminished academic support, impacting student performance and long-term success. Extracurricular programs that foster community involvement and student development may be curtailed, weakening the social fabric of our town. As educational quality declines, property values may decrease, and attracting new residents and businesses become more challenging, leading to potential economic downturns. We know no one wants their taxes to go up. I don't either, but the reality is, underfunding our schools today will cost us far more in the future. Whether it is declining property values, reduced economic growth, or the loss of families who choose to settle elsewhere. Education isn't just another line item in a budget. It's the foundation of a thriving community. So I am asking that the Board of Finance at a minimum reinstate the $750,000 that was most recently cut, and ideally, the budget should be restored back to what the administration requested of the Board of Education. Our children deserve better, our teachers deserve better, and Bethel deserves better.
But this brings my child a sense of pride that follows her into the classroom as she learns other subjects like math and science. She is empowered to do more in every area. But the thing is, music or any extracurricular can have this effect on any child, and all of our children deserve this sort of enrichment. Small things like this accumulate and make our schools a vibrant space to develop our children into well-rounded future Bethelites. It's dancing with the lunch lady. It's para-educators who know my child by name because they're her neighbors. It's teachers that work so patiently and thoughtfully with our children all day long
and the custodial staff that keep our school clean and beautiful. These people go above and beyond every single day. For years, I am guilty of being a busy working parent who turns up to vote on the budget but pays little attention to what is in it. I have trusted that we fund schools with a budget that accurately reflects their needs. However, this year has jarred me into paying closer attention because as it is currently proposed, this budget will damage our schools and adversely affect student outcomes. Let me be clear, I don't like paying taxes. I don't think anybody does. But the thing I dislike most of all is paying higher taxes while also cutting services to our schools. This choice is the worst of all possible options. Supporting our schools directly correlates with supporting our towns. It bolsters home values and a strong sense of community. The teachers and staff that are scheduled to be fired are our friends and neighbors. If you cut funding for schools, we as a community pay for it in other ways, whether that is having to secure tutoring or private school tuition when academics falter, pay to play sports, and goodness knows there is a very high cost to intervene with teens who don't have after-school activities like band, theater, sports, and ROTC. This budget is a false choice of austerity, and it doesn't have to be that way. I implore you, at minimum, to reinstate the most recent cuts of $750,000, but ideally, you would restore the full budget funding to our schools so that they can address the increase in healthcare costs without having to eliminate staff, increase class sizes, and eliminate specials and extracurriculars. We are all watching the choices this board makes. This room is full of eyes on you, and I assure you, in the next municipal election cycle, we are not going to forget who defended our schools and who defunded them.
And I want everybody to speak, but there's a line out the door, so if we could just be conscious of your neighbors. Thank you.
My name is Raquel Scamato. I live at 7 South Crossing Lane.
Thank you.
I moved to Bethel a couple of years ago because of the location of work, because my both work there, and because of the schools. A little bit about me, just so you can understand my biases here. I have a bachelor's of music and music therapy. I own a business. My specialty is speech and neuro rehab. So basically, I get older folks who can't talk to talk again. 30-something years ago, Newtown was doing the same thing where my mother pulled me aside, and I was in 7th grade, and she said, "You might not be able to play violin anymore." And I was devastated. Thankfully, they didn't cut the program. I would not be doing what I'm doing right now, helping all these people speak again and walk again, if Newtown cut their string program. It's not a good idea. My other biases, and I understand, is I have a master's in business administration. So I understand budgets. You can't just continuously tax people out of this. You have to balance it. So there has to be cuts from somewhere. My request of you and all of the town is, what kind of town do we want to live in? I think we should use data and the programs that we have. What is actually providing the outcomes that we want for our kids? I don't think, my personal opinion is the data does not support cutting music and cutting arts and all these other programs that promote human connection. Kids are glued to their phones. As a business owner, it's very hard to find people who are not distracted by this. They're getting out, they can't pass the boards. I can't hire people who can't pass tests. Yeah, I think it's a really big problem. Cutting gym, I mean, childhood obesity, getting a heart disease and type 2 diabetes at 12 years old, I think it's a bad idea. And I think it's well documented. The other thing I wanted to say is, what are we putting our money into that might not be giving us the outcomes? And what kind of world do we want to live in here? What do we want to create for Bethel? And I think we should use data and science to decide where those cuts happen.
Thank you.
Good evening, John McMurray, 114 Codfish Hill Road. I'm the father of a 13-year-old middle school student who is thriving, thankfully, to our special education system here. However, that's not the only program that helps her thrive. I also am a board member of the, I get emotional over this stuff, the Bethel Winter Guard and the Bethel Marching Band. Dear members of the let's go to Dayton. Anyway, Board of Finance, we write on behalf of the Bethel Winter Guard program to express our concerns over proposed budget cuts over the Bethel education system and their potential impact on our program in Bethel High School Marching Band, which many of our members participate in during fall season. These programs provide students with more than just an extracurricular activity. They are opportunities for personal growth, leadership, and artistic expression. Winter Guard and Marching Band teach essential life skills such as teamwork, discipline, time management, and perseverance. They also help students build self-confidence and develop athletic ability through rigorous training, coordination, and performance. They foster a sense of community, school spirit, and belonging, offering a safe and structured environment for students to thrive. Students, coaches, and families have dedicated countless hours to making these programs successful, and cuts to the program could jeopardize the progress and achievements they have worked so hard to attain. The Winter Guard program consists of 3 teams made up of Bethel students in grades 3 through 12, each exemplifying a high level of excellence that consistently places them at the top of their respective classes. The strength and quality of our program have earned national recognition, with our varsity team competing at the national level, especially Dayton this year. Similarly, the marching band has achieved remarkable success, was promoted to a higher competition level after winning the national title in 2023. Any financial cuts could jeopardize these outstanding programs, threatening to unravel the shining jewels of Bethel's arts community. Budget reductions could lead to fewer opportunities, diminished resources, and the potential loss of these programs altogether. For many students, these activities are not just hobbies. They are life-changing experiences that build confidence, discipline, and shape future goals. Eliminating or scaling back these programs would be a significant loss for students involved. It would also diminish the sense of community and pride they cultivate in Bethel. Thank you.
I'm writing to voice my serious concerns regarding the potential proposed budget cuts, including perhaps the reduction of the school nurse servicing our district. With 3,282 students across our schools, the need for adequate nursing staff has never been more crucial. As our student population has increased, so has the complexity of the medical issues our students face, which requires skilled nursing care. Since the start of this academic year, there were 15,798 visits to the district health offices. This number does not include the 5,284 medication administrations or the 3,553 state-mandated screenings that the nurses perform. These numbers also do not include St. Mary's schools, which we also provide nursing services to. The number of visits, along with the increased health needs of our students, illustrates that the current nurse-to-student ratio is already stretched thin. Reducing the number of nurses in this environment will exacerbate the challenges faced by our school health staff and put our students at risk. The volume of students and their complex medical issues cannot safely be managed if nursing positions are reduced. Should this reduction take place and multiple nurses are absent due to illness, family leave, or attendance at professional conferences, the potential exists for no nursing coverage at a school. This would be a dangerous scenario, as each school has students who require the care of a registered nurse. These students cannot be legally, medically serviced by anyone else. Furthermore, the absence of a full nursing staff would expose the district to liability concerns. If a medical emergency were to occur and proper care were unavailable due to understaffing, the consequences could be severe for the student and the district. I urge the Board of Education, Board of Finance, and the elected town officials of Bethel to reconsider these budget cuts to our schools, including the potential reduction of school nurses. Maintaining the current number of nurses is essential to ensuring the health and safety of our students. Reducing this vital service could have serious repercussions for our students' well-being. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Jason Gill, 23 Linden Lane. I've lived in this town most of my life, and I've proudly worked for the Bethel Public Schools for the last 20 years. We have the most dedicated staff, I think, across the country. Dr. Carter I think the town of Bethel has reaped the benefits of having an exceptionally high-performing school at a bare minimum of cost. I've heard Dr. Carter say over and over again about how little we pay town that pays less per pupil is Danbury. And we are 10 times the school system that they are. In this particular time of high special education costs, increased insurance costs, and increased salaries, I think the Board of Finance, I think the Board of Selectmen, and the Board of Education needs to go back to Dr. Harper's original budget and do what's right.
James Keene, 114 Millwood Drive. Just a couple of questions for the Board of Ed. What is driving the increase for district transportation?
It's really twofold. It's the contractual increase that we use to pay our bus company to transport kids back and forth from school each day. It's about 3%. And the other piece is transportation of students with disabilities. Since COVID, and I talked about this in my budget presentation, the cost of transporting individual kids to different communities is sometimes as much as it costs to educate them in the schools. So those two factors, I would say, are the primary reasons.
Okay. And I know the Board of Selectmen, I know did the initial cut of 500,000. What did the budget look like after that before the additional 750? Like, were there a lot of deep cuts or?
So no. And I want to clarify that for some of the speakers tonight. I did send out a memo after the Board of Ed made the initial rounds prior, and I talked about it in my presentation at the joint meeting with Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance. Right now, as the budget currently exists, we would have to identify $1.25 million in additional decreases. Now, there are some things that are still in flux. Even though our health insurance has gone up a tremendous amount, we're exploring several different options to try to reduce that cost. So that would bring down, and that would not affect our employees in terms of the insurance and programs for kids. If we get increases in state funding, that could impact what potential cuts that we have to make. So I want to caution people that I know I've heard things like, well, instrumental music, that's not actually accurate right now. I did say in my budget presentation that a lot of the things that you have brought up tonight are possibilities that could, but there's so much in flux between now and I would say the close of the legislative session with the state that could impact what additional reductions would have to be made. And I know that's frustrating for people because they want to know now what it is, but I also don't want to make bad choices and say, okay, well, these 5 things are going, and the Board of Ed really is doing that, without knowing where all of our revenue is coming in. So I don't know if that answers.
No, I understand. I just wanted to kind of close with a comment. So I just did some quick math in my head. If I assume a normal increase in health benefits and or just health benefits, right? And I ended up with something like a little less than 4% overall. So what it seems to me is that the Board of Ed is asking for a normal increase, and the Board of Finance is not giving it to them. I think that's a problem. When we're cutting the school budget has an effect beyond just the fiscal year, right? It can have effects that can last multiple years. And the holes that are left for parents, especially parents with special needs kids, they're going to have to plug those holes out of their own pocket. And that is almost always going to cost more than the incremental change in taxes. So, and especially now in the age where, we have a federal administration that is gutting its own Department of Education and that runs on the winds of Kevin out Elon Musk and the pseudoscientific winds of RFK Jr. The way to insulate against that is to fund our schools locally. That's the way to do it. So our teachers need to keep their jobs, and our parents here need to be able to rely on the services that the taxes provide.
but I'm going to make some adjustments thanks to what Dr. Carver has said. Understanding that you're not saying we're going to cut this and this and this. However, you are restricted to certain areas that you can cut because of legal and contractual requirements. So when the Board of Finance cuts your budget even more, that really ties your hands on what areas you can cut, knowing that the bigger areas, such as contracts and legal, forces your hand into those areas. So I urge you to restore the $1.2 million by cut to the proposed education budget to the full amount presented by Dr. Carver. While I recognize the cost increase, both real and potential, that have and may continue to hit our town and personal budgets. I also recognize that Dr. Carver and the Board of Ed run as lean a budget as possible without damaging our education system. In fact, has actually been able to grow it. With their approach, we have a nationally recognized marching band program. We have a highly recognized theater program, music program, ROTC. The marching band is fed by the quality of the elementary and middle school music programs. We have a nationally recognized National Junior ROTC program. And as a veteran, I recognize the strength and integrity of the young men and women who are in and have gone through our NJROTC programs. Colleges work to well-rounded students. These programs and many others that I don't have time to list are critical to teaching our youth critical social skills such as teamwork and leadership, as well as keeping our youth competitive. If you want to work on costs, everyone please contact your legislatures about the shortfalls in the mandated services. For years, I've lived in this town for 27 years. For years, we've been hearing about how the state is constantly cutting us short. My family has lived here for 27 years, and one of the reasons we moved here was the quality of education. Our oldest son, who's now in his mid-30s, was in high school here when we were under probation and in danger of losing accreditation for the short-sighted financial decisions made during that time. Let's not repeat our mistakes of the past. Support our schools and restore the budget. Thank you.
Mike Messenger, 174 Chestnut Road. Parent of 4 kids in schools, 2nd, 5th, 8th, and 10th. I do want to start by thanking all of you, particularly thanking the schools and our teachers for the great work they do, the opportunities they provide, and for the success of our students, so thank you. We have achieved this success as noted with the second lowest spend per student in the region. As a note, 57% below Reading, which is pretty sad, but I'm certainly not suggesting we should try to spend as much as Reading. What I do propose, I would love to go back to the full budget proposed by Superintendent Carver, but certainly add back the $1.25 million deductions by the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance. We should also, as Superintendent Carver noted, proceed to self-insurance for health insurance for the next year as soon as possible. That has the potential to save money both in the near term and certainly over the long term. I have no idea why we would want to continue to support United Healthcare's outrageous practices, behavior, and operations. So I did run some numbers, which probably are incorrect, but I think generally okay, based on some of the comments earlier by the Board of Finance. How does this translate to taxpayers to add back the 1.25? Assuming general tax revenues, primarily for property taxes, which is not 100% right, but bear with me. The budget proposes a 4.57% increase in property taxes, or general tax revenues, mostly from property taxes. Adding back the 1.25 would be a 6.1% increase. I don't know what the average property tax bill is in this town. For humor, let's assume it's $8,000. It's probably not too far off. That difference is $122, which is $10 a month. I think our kids are worth $10 a month.
Susan Morton, 2 Canaan Drive, Chair of the Library Board. I've been a member of this town for over 50 years. And I was very disappointed at the meeting that we had for the budget hearing where the library got cut lower than what it was asking for. I feel the town needs to give the money back to the library so we can give the community what it needs in this time. It's very difficult for people to spend money on books and other things. Let them come to the library. Let them come to the library and get the books, get the computer work that they need, get all the help that they need at the library. Please put the money back for the library to succeed for this community. Please support the library. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Amy Hannequin and I reside at 14 Sky Edge Drive. I stand before you today as both a resident and a lifelong product of the Bethel Public Schools. Having attended from Rockwell Elementary through my graduation from Bethel High School, I'm also a teacher through the Bethel Public Schools. My confidence to advocate for our schools stems directly from my positive experiences as a graduate and an active member of the Bethel arts and music community. As an adult who thrived thanks to exceptional programming offered by our public schools, I implore you to support and even augment the proposed budget. The potential loss of these programs for current and future students will be devastating. I was fortunate to access rigorous courses that prepared me for my dream career, which I currently hold. Without the opportunities to explore music, art, STEAM, and unified arts, my life would be vastly different. We must ensure these same opportunities are available for today's students. Music in particular has profoundly impacted my life, starting with flute at Johnson and culminating in my participation in the Bethel High School Chorus and Band. It shaped my identity. My siblings' stories echo this. My sister, a pioneer in the 3rd grade strings program, my own all-state selection and participation in every music opportunity throughout high school, including the theater in this very auditorium, and my twin brother's participation in the NAFME All-National Band in Nashville. My brothers credit their music experience with their acceptance into a top university, and they emphasize the transferable skills gained through music. I can equate all of my successes to my participation in music and the arts. Cannot stress the necessity for students to have equitable access to these programs. Music and the arts provide crucial safe spaces for students to express themselves authentically, connect with others, and develop into positive contributors to society. Students from the Bethel Public Schools become lifelong appreciators of music. I urge you to support a budget that truly invests in our students' needs. Please reinstate the budget money in order to maintain programming to support the needs of our students. It is our duty as community members to support the interests, goals, dreams, and mental health of our youth. Thank you.
My name is Megan Friedland, 12 Greenwood Avenue in Bethel, and I'm here with my daughter Lily, who's not old enough to vote, so she can't speak, so I thought if it was okay, I could speak on her behalf. She worked very hard on a statement, has been really involved in the budget process, so it's been an incredible learning experience. So, anyways,
not to interrupt, when you're done, I'd love to hear your daughter also.
So would you like her?
I'd be glad to hear that.
I'm a sophomore at Bethel High School and have been very active and vocal throughout the budget process. And when I learned of the recent additional reduction to the Board of Education's budget, I was devastated. A number like $1.25 million causes me to worry about all of the vital aspects of Bethel that bring vibrance to students' lives. It scares me that the worth of my education can be so easily undermined by expressing it in a numerical value. Behind these numbers on a spreadsheet are real people and programs that make our schools just as successful as they are. To give just one example, what initially encouraged me and many others to get involved was the threat to the 3rd grade strings program. Although this was reinstated into the previous budget, our efforts are now at risk of being undone. Music is something that gives students a voice, an outlet, and a purpose. This month has been incredibly difficult for me and my peers as we celebrate National Music in our Schools Month while remaining aware of the danger that our programs now face. There is no doubt that music has a scientifically proven impact on the development of children, not to mention its correlation with improving academic success. But what's arguably more valuable at this point is the direct experiences and benefits that Bethel's own music students have testified to. To share just a few quotes from my peers that I've had the pleasure of reading, It's always been an emotional outlet for me. I feel like I found a purpose in life. It created a safe spot for me. Another student said, I no longer saw it as a hobby, I saw it as my future. It has shaped the course of my entire life, and it got me out of a rough spot. Finally, one said, if it wasn't for music, I wouldn't know who I am. I wouldn't be following my dream, and I wouldn't come to school. Again, these are just a few examples of many sentiments shared all month long. We've presented the data and numbers before, but the facts are right in front of our eyes. Students thrive in a space where they feel comfortable, vulnerable, and passionate. Extracurricular and elective programs such as music, sports, theater, ROTC, marching band, and countless others ensure that each student's specific educational needs and goals can be met in a variety of settings. If we truly want to guarantee the best overall outcome possible for every Bethel student, we must preserve these programs. Thank you.
I think we could all agree that a good education is more than just reading, writing, math, arithmetic, right? Our students deserve a school curriculum and experience that goes beyond core academics, providing accessible program opportunities that enhance their overall development and well-being. You know, I saw firsthand with my kids, I really have a younger one also in middle school, and just what some of these extracurricular programs has done for them. It helps them get up in the morning and go to school. And they're also thriving academically too, which I think is due in part by a lot of their activities. It's been well researched that children who participate in these, they've improved academic outcomes, they're more able to focus on learning, they're happier, healthier, more well-rounded. They're able to build stronger relationships with their peers, their teachers, and family. They develop confidence and become comfortable taking risks and making mistakes. These are skills that are essential well into adulthood. So I ask that each member of the board carefully reconsider the requested $1.25 million school budget cut to enable the Board of Ed to preserve as many of these vital programs as possible. As a town, we need to be willing to invest now to protect the reputation of our schools, preventing additional budget and tax impacts in the future, as many others have said earlier. As parents, we've entrusted the Board of Ed to present a budget that ensures a well-rounded education for our students that yields the best outcomes. By asking them to cut the budget, especially so significantly, will make it nearly impossible for them to do that. So let's do the right thing for our kids.
Hi, my name is Christina Dixie. I live at 76 Worcester Street, and I haven't prepared any things. I was not planning to speak tonight, but there was a text offensive by my daughter begging me to come speak tonight. She is a Bethel High School student and has very strong opinions on this, like the student who just spoke so eloquently before. So basically, I am here because when we talk about program cuts or larger class sizes, what we're talking about is teachers and administrators and support staff who will be losing their jobs. And I have a child who has experienced a lot of struggles in the past few years. Physical struggles, mental health struggles, like severe struggles getting to school and making it through school. And the reason that my child is alive and in school and like for a future is directly because actual people working in our schools whose jobs are at risk. So this is a plea to not look at this as an abstract program that we're going to lose. There are actual people who are doing amazing work, supporting our students in real, meaningful, direct ways, whose jobs are at risk and who might not be an influence in my child's life and in other children's lives after they're no longer in the schools. The people in our school system are amazing. They're people, and the influence that they have can't be measured. And please, please, please restore the budget. And I don't want to lose any of these people in my life or in my children's life. Thank you.
Dorothy Denigris, 3 Country Way. Billy and I we've done this rodeo before to the tune of 25 to 27 years ago.
when accreditation, high school accreditation was failing because of the specific reason of underfunding. So the community rallied in the most effective and beautiful way and just pushed this thing forward. And here we are today, enjoying one of the best school systems in the state. I think we are ranked 37, is it, Dr. Carver, in the state?
That's what you're looking at. There's different rankings depending on where you're looking.
Well, we're up there.
We are. And it's all thanks to the teachers and the staff.
Exactly.
What are we for funding? We're not going to scream from the audience. There's a line here if you'd like to get in and ask a question.
So we've gotten a pretty amazing bang for our buck, given that our per pupil spending is the lowest in the area. Just Danbury is lower. So I can't say anything that would be any more effective than the amazing people that spoke before me, including the student. She's a direct product of Bethel Public Schools. My 3 children started here, graduated from here, and are thriving professionals out in the world, and I'm very proud of that. My taxes too have gone up. Do we like paying taxes? No. But taxes fund the family community that we live in responsibly. When I went over the slide list of Dr. Carver's presentation that represents what would be cut from the budget, 21 teachers is unacceptable. That is appalling. 7 paraprofessionals, that's appalling. I do work in the nurses' offices occasionally. I am a substitute nurse, and I have rotated through all the schools for the past, well, since COVID when they started being held. I do not benefit from increases. I do not benefit from health benefits, health insurance. So I'm on that list is a nurse, and I can speak from personal insight and experience how these amazing aid professionals spread over 3,200 kids. And there's a statement here that says the increase in spending is due to health insurance, contractual obligations, and an increase in special education enrollment, particularly for students with moderate to severe disabilities. The nurses are directly involved with those students in multiple ways. Lisa mentioned that however many thousands of nurse office visits, 5,000 medications, that goes up every year, children with chronic illnesses. And since COVID, mental health concerns have also gone way up, and the nurses also participate with those students. So to cut a nurse for a $65,000 salary, you get a way big bang for your buck in terms of safety for students, safety for the buildings, and safety for the community. It shouldn't even be a question to cut another nurse.
We're past the 2 minutes, and I'm really trying to be easy about it, but there's a
So
line.
if I could just say one more thing.
You're more than welcome to.
I have, as I said, nothing really more to add to what everybody has said, except for this one thing, is that this room is full of people that keep clapping and applauding for adding money back. So I think it was maybe a little bit assuming that the cuts that were made before the budget was presented assumes that it wouldn't have been voted for. I say put the money back and let the people decide. It is their money that they are deciding to spend or not. Let them decide. Please put the money back.
Hi, I'm Hannah Littman. I live at 40 Kingswood Drive in Bethel. Thank you guys all for everything. I have had 2 kids go through the school system. One is 31 now, and one is 21. and they benefited from, when I think of music, I think, the space between each note is still music, right? And they benefited from the space between the notes in school. They were members, like my oldest was a musician, very quickly, and my dad grew up in the Bronx, and in 1924 he was born. He was in fights. He would be ADHD. He would have all these acronyms if he were, they didn't have it then, right? And a music teacher went up to my grandmother and said, "Give him music lessons. It'll calm him down." And he became a musician, and he was a conductor of a symphony, and that really kind of saved him from a lot of black eyes. And he taught us that community is not just about the numbers. Numbers are important, and I'm grateful for all the people that came from the numbers perspective. But I think that you've got to look at, when you look at a community, grassroots is where it's at, and preserving our music, preserving our art, because teamwork makes the dream work, right? And some kids can't play sports, or don't want to play sports, don't have that an interest. But music, you learn teamwork in an orchestra, right? In art, you're able to express your feelings that you may not be able to express. My younger kid had a lot of those acronyms, and he was in special ed in the school system. And he had dyslexia and he had academic issues. However, he was in APR. And to take something like that away, and the art teachers here were incredible. They saw it in him. I remember the teacher just saw his gift, and it was the first time he was really recognized, and it became a trajectory for him, a good trajectory for him. So find the money. That's what I know it's not easy to say, but to go back to the budget and let everyone decide. Back to you.
Good evening, David Watnick, 22 Briarcliff Manor. I've had 3 girls go through the Bethel school systems. They had a fabulous experience. They had great teachers, administrators. They were part of nationally acclaimed programs, ROTC band. Band is probably the only one, multiple national champions. And we are now looking to defund those programs. So my message here is simple, right? As a parent, I want something better for my children than I have. For the children of the town, we are all their parents. I want the next generation of children to have a better experience than mine did. And mine has a great one. If we make these type of cuts, that is not possible. Right? We've already heard we are one of the lowest spend per children in the region and state. That is not something to aspire to. We shouldn't be at the top of that list, right? So what I'm asking is simple. Let the next generation of children have as good or better experience than my kids have. Put the money back, go to Dr. Carter and budget. Thank you.
Hi, Matt Down, 16 at Pakistan West. I have 2 kids in the schools and a third government kindergarten fall. I want to say 2 things. One, in a time when the federal government is making drastic cuts across the board and public education is under assault at all levels, it's imperative that we send a signal that government spending can benefit before you're good. We already do a whole lot with our lot less people in expenditure than most of our neighbors. Surely there has to be room to increase the funding for both the school district and the library. Second, I want to say I heard at the police presentation that we're expanding our use of license plate readers. I would encourage you to eliminate them altogether. In the world we live in, with massive data hacks announced on a daily basis, is malpractice to store a record of every car that passes through our town on some server in Texas. Yes, this is a tool that helps with investigations, but city cameras on every street corner and wiretaps on every phone. That doesn't make it a good idea.
I'm Jan Walker from 7 Pleasant Street in Bethel. I just want to bring you guys back to the meeting that we had on the 25th of February, because what was interesting there is that Dr. Carter gave this presentation of the education budget, and there were handouts, and there was a PowerPoint, and we went through the budget line by line, and it took over an hour, right? And then there was the police budget, and Chief Bethel presented the budget. There was a little bit of back and forth, and then it was just accepted. There was one question from Board of Finance about how about the overtime, and I think the response was like, well, there's some overtime still. This is important, right? Because when the Board of Education is having to make sacrifices, and lodges have to make sacrifices, the police department is getting, I really couldn't find anything. There wasn't really any discussion at the meeting. There doesn't seem to have been much discussion at the police commission meetings. So we need that budget broken out in as much detail as for the education budgets, so that the public can discuss it, so we can see what makes sense and whether that's being spent efficiently, right? If you want me to vote for a budget that puts my own children at a disadvantage, I would think the least you could do is break out the police budget to the same level of detail and put it online in the same place as the education budget is.
Not to get a debate, but the police department, there was an extra officer that was cut, 2 cars that were cut, but almost 95% of their budget is contractual. So we don't have the authority to do that. When you say we didn't have many questions, there was a Board of Ed and a lot of people were in the room, so they were rushed. But this Board of Finance has worked on this, and there's lots of discussions that are normal meetings that no one ever comes to, but there was a lot of thought in it. That night, it was just a presentation. There was no deliberation that happened after that meeting, so I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you, but all the same, I'd like to see the details.
I would agree. The police commission does not have great minutes, and anytime you want to call 744-7900 and ask for Chief Buckner, he'll answer any of those questions for you.
And will anyone in the commission?
Or the commission, sure.
So the handout here tonight has line item detail of the police budget to the same extent that the Board of Ed has line item detail. The Board of Ed just has more accounts than the police department. And this document's on the town website in the comptroller's office under budget.
Thank you. I'll leave it to the next person.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Lindstrom, 3 Vining Road. I'm here because I would like you to restore the budget. The $1.25 million, I would like that, please. I have a few kids here, just a few. Hey, just a few. The school system is very important to me. I'd like a few in here. If you can raise your hands who've gone to school here, have kids here. There's a lot of us. There's a lot of us. I'm in PTO, I'm in the school, and you know what? There is a dark cloud over the school right now. We feel as though teachers were cut and we had nothing to do about it, no say at all. And my heart is broken. It is hard, it is sad to see all these teachers, everything that they do, and their jobs are all gone. And I feel as though we could do something. We need to do something. We need our future, our children. No one's going to want to move here if our scores aren't great, right? Or if we're not going to make it. You know, I'm a product of this 1999 when we didn't make the budget, when we were going to be accredited. That was me. I was that class. We almost lost it, but we got it back. We got it back, thankfully. I'm just gonna tell you though, these teachers, all you teachers here, raise your hands. I want to see you all, because you're important to me. I want you to know you matter to me, and you matter to my kids, and I appreciate everything you do, and we as a community, we need to fight for them, because who else is going to? We want our kids to go to school here, we want people to come, we want to thrive. We need to stand up. And I want us to restate this budget, because it's not fair when you have teachers who are going to school with each other, co-workers, right? Sitting there knowing that they're going to replace someone over in the middle school. Yeah, people that they work with every day to know, oh, you know what? Sorry, I'm taking your husband's job. That's terrible. It's terrible. I'm mad and I'm sad, but it's only because I love it here in Bethel. You know, I grew up here, we moved to Danbury for a little bit, and we dreamed about coming back here, my husband. We had to buy a 2-family house there for a little bit, but we came back. You know why we came back? They used to call us wannabes, because all I wanted to do was come back home. I just wanted to. And look, we made it just in time when my boys started kindergarten. We came back, because this place means something to us. And I know it means a lot to you guys, so I really firmly say, let's reinstate the budget. And if you can't figure it out, then maybe the Board of Ed, maybe we need to discuss what we need to do to get business done for our children. Our children now and the children in the future. Thank you.
Logan used to be 65 South Street. I was at the meeting a couple weeks ago at the municipal center, and a phrase that kept jumping out to me was that cuts were being made where it would least impact the students. And as a student at this high school and a veteran of many of the arts programs across the district, I've witnessed that the arts programs are where the students who don't feel like they have a place anywhere else do have a place. And that goes for the music departments as well. And even with Dr. Carter's her clarification that it's not set in stone yet, even if these departments are threatened, if the financial situation gets worse, they will look to those places and think, well, why not cut them more? And that can't happen. And I would also just like to reiterate that our district has run with very little for a long time, and a lot of the places we have had success is through those arts departments, like with the band, who warns they have wanted of the students having pieces in art shows, in like congressional art shows and in galleries, and those are where these students that have no other place can really thrive. Even if they're not taking classes, they know they have a classroom where they feel comfortable and where they can go, and it would be devastating to lose that.
Good evening. My name is Laura Shulman Cordera. I'm at Ohio Terrace, and I'm a mother of a 6-year-old who's in first grade at Berry School. I'm here to ask you to reconsider the proposed cuts to our school budget. I know that it seems like a short-term fix, but it will have lasting consequences for our students and for our community. We're already facing a national teacher shortage. It makes it more important than ever to hold on to the great educators who we have and the great paraeducators and administrators that keep our schools running. And with all the new development in town, I don't think I have to remind everyone how much new development there is in town. We need to be preparing for growth, not reductions. History has shown us the impact of school budget cuts. Research from the Great Recession found that for every $1,000 cut per student, test scores in math reading dropped by nearly 4%, and college attendance declined by 2.5%. And here's the kicker. Those numbers didn't bounce back when the economy improved. That means that the setbacks weren't just temporary, they were directly caused by the funding cuts. After-school programs, as we all have talked about, are also on the line, and the students say it better than me, but they matter more than we may realize. I know that rising property taxes are a real concern for many families. No one wants to see their expenses going up, especially with the costs already so high. But investing in our schools is one of the smartest things that our town can do. Strong schools raise property values, they attract families and businesses, and prevent long-term costs that come with lower educational outcomes, like higher dropout rates and lower lifetime earnings. I don't envy you. I know that the decisions you have to make as the Finance Committee impact everybody here in Bethel. Costs are rising across the board, and they're felt by both the municipality as well as the people living in our town. But at the end of the day, strong schools make a strong community. And I urge you to invest in our kids' future and our town's future by keeping the funding to the schools that they need to succeed. Thank you.
Jenny Tessar, 42 Plumtrees Road in Bethel. I would like you to seriously consider returning to the library budget the monies that you have cut. I think it's totally incorrect to give them less money than they are having this year. The library is probably the leading facility in Bethel that serves all members of our community, from toddlers going to story hours, through students doing research work, to adults working on finances and job searches, to senior citizens looking for books that they cannot afford to buy themselves. I think the library performs a super important function in our community, as it does in any community, and I hope that you will reconsider and restore those monies. Thank you.
I am a school psychologist. I work in a district in New York, so I appreciate you guys, appreciate everything you do. My family relies on the insurance that my district provides, so I appreciate that you guys are working to do everything for the teachers so they can have the best health care possible. I have 3 children in Bethel schools. My son is a junior. He's in the ROTC program, in the drill team, a National Honor Society student, and I have a daughter who's a 9th grader who just participated in your the 6th grader at the middle school. These programs that are being potentially cut or slashed are so important. These kids don't just walk onto the stage as a freshman and know how to sing and dance and act. And my son just didn't join ROTC, not the confidence he gained from programs here at Bethel. And the girls didn't just go to the States for basketball because they started playing basketball in 9th grade. These programs start when they're young. We need preschool, full day. I understand as a school psychologist the impact that not having preschool for kids, the impact that has as they get older. We need these programs. We need them to start young. We need our kids to have exposure, to understand who they are, to grow, to develop, and become the best human beings possible. Thank you. Restore the budget.
I am proud parent of 2 Bethel kids, one who is pursuing a degree in fine arts and a second who is looking to chemistry. She's been accepted at a lot of top schools in the Northeast, and I'm really excited to see where she's going to end up. But I think what my family shows is the importance of diversity of opportunities for our students. I have one that's incredibly science-focused and math-focused, and I have another that I can directly see the line of her success related back to the art room. Ever since a freshman, she has spent as much time as she can within that department and with all the wonderful educators within there. I've also had the opportunity to observe some classes as well. Every single art class that I have been into and was able to watch was full. Every seat was taken. There was a skating room over there were kids coming in from the outside because they wanted to be a part of that space, they wanted to be a part of that community, and they wanted to have that connection. This department, and as well as music and theater and in similar what is termed special, are going to be impacted. What we're hearing is that the teachers, the principals, the board, they're looking for creative ways to still keep these programs within the schools and giving our kids the opportunity to experience them, but it's at the bare minimum. We're talking about 1 art teacher serving 2 elementary schools. We're talking about 1 art teacher and music teacher serving Johnson and the middle school. Our kids deserve more than the bare minimum.
Pamela Jackson, 26 Deepwood Drive. I have two kids in Bethel. Between the two of them, we have ADHD, anxiety, depression, Tourette's, a whole list of reasons why they should be failing and why everything should be going wrong for them. They were very fortunate to very early on find art, music, and theater. And because of that, I currently have, my oldest is at Southern Connecticut pursuing art education for a major with a theater minor. And my youngest is not failing out of school because she found things that give her a purpose and a reason for going to school. And the bigger things, we all have limited means and we have wonderful programs in the town, but not all of us can afford that. And in the schools is probably the only place where a lot of these families will ever be introduced to some of these programs. So please, I beg you, do what you can to keep these programs active. Thank you.
John Bowser, 2 Long Meadow Lane in Bethel. Thank you for hearing me. Members of the Board of Finance and the Board of Education. Like an awful lot of people who've spoken today, I am the parent to 2 special needs children. And I am, like again, a lot of people standing up here to tell you how to do your jobs and why they are important. On behalf of everybody, I'd like to somewhat apologize because I know realistically that you know your jobs are important and I know you know how to do your jobs. But like you, when dealing with this budget for much shorter than you probably have, I've gone through the 5 stages of grief. The first part was denial. Well, somebody surely is going to fix this, right? Surely we're not going to have to step in and deal with this. Number 2 is anger, and I haven't passed that yet. I'm still on anger. I'm upset to a certain extent about the lack of transparency that I feel like we experienced here. I'm upset at what I consider to be some short-sighted choices that were made a few years ago with regards to insurance plans. I'm upset that here I am standing here when I should really have my kids in bed already. But I know you work too. And I know that Bethel has done more with less than every other school in Connecticut who is ranked remotely close to us. And I appreciate that. And I hope sincerely that that continues. But as part of my anger, I use that to do research because I'm the product of a good library. I recognize that we're not the only school system who is experiencing these issues. I know Newtown is having a very similar issue for very similar reasons that we are. And this is where my greatest concern comes in. The Newtown superintendent said weeks ago that this issue is going to get worse before it gets better. I was present at the February 18th Board of Education meeting where Dr. Carver, you said similar things. And if this is going to get worse before it gets better, then this budget represents us running out of road. If the Board of Finance does not restore this budget to its original numbers, then we are going to be back here next year doing exactly the same with significantly less. And those cuts are quite frankly terrifying. So for the last time, I'm going to ask you to do your jobs and find the money, and we will do our jobs and find the votes. I promise you, but we will if that's what we have to do to save our teachers and our programs. Thank you.
Good evening, Brett Plus on Fairchild Drive. I've got a couple of questions and a couple of things. First question is, my understanding is that a couple $100,000 in insurance savings may have been found. If that in fact is the case, how would that be applied to this current budget, and what could be restored that you're looking to cut based on just that? I'll get into other stuff.
Yeah, as I said earlier, we are still in the process of exploring potential savings by switching to our Connecticut Safety Partnership Plan, so that's one option. We're also exploring self-funding options to see if we can generate savings there. And we're also negotiating with United Healthcare, who is our current provider, to get us to where we are now. You know, and I know there was a comment earlier about some switches we made in health insurance a few years ago, but people probably don't remember. We were in a similar situation a couple of years ago. And when we went to the high deductible health plan, we saved over $2.5 million over a couple of years in that. So those, if any of those pan out, and it could be up to a couple $100,000, then we would use that as part of the reduction so that it wouldn't impact anything else.
Okay, thank you. I'm struck with, a general question to everybody here, I'm struck with the fact that we're looking at close to a $900,000 shortfall in auto revenue that we really weren't expecting due to changes in how that formula is mandated that we use in Hartford. That's a good chunk of the school shortfall, isn't it? And the point I want to make is there's an awful lot of anger in this room right now. And I think it's being pointed at the wrong place. People that we sent to Hartford did this to us. They took almost $1 million out of the town's coffers that we now don't have to spend, and we're sitting here scratching our heads saying, oh my gosh, what are we going to do about it? And Scott has absolutely, year after year, been pointing out the hundreds of these mandates that cost so much money that we don't get at Hartford. And you know, I get the anger in this room, but my point is I don't think it's based on anything that anybody up here is screwing around with. I think we sent the wrong people to Hartford, and they're doing bad things that are impacting us. And at a certain point, we've got to take some responsibility for fixing it. So, you know, I'm sorry that you guys are bearing a lot of the brunt of that, but you shouldn't be. Next point I want to make, and I realize I'm running over time. This room is full of a lot of school supporters, which is awesome. The energy about that is fantastic. But what people have to realize is there are auditoriums full of people on fixed budgets, retirees, and others who feel just as strongly that you can't take another nickel out of their taxes. If we're going to get a budget passed, then we got to figure out some ways to navigate that. And I get the strong desire to put every penny back in here, but I really do think that there needs to be some strategizing going on about how to adjust that. Last point I want to make is I've gone in and run a number of struggling businesses that I've fixed. And I realize the private sector is not identical to the public sector, but when I faced shortfalls like this, I went to my employees, not 32, you know, not the size that you've got, but I had several thousand of them. And I said, folks, we're looking at either doing some layoffs or some cuts that we don't want to do, or if you folks can do a one-time rollback on something, whether it's paying a little more on the health insurance or whether it's something else, we'll get through this and then we'll build it back. Because I don't know if we've done that, and my question is, have we asked the teachers and others impacted in this to consider that? And is there a longer-term plan, if they do that, to never have to be having this freaking conversation again? Because it sucks. It absolutely sucks. So that's my question. Have we gone back? And I apologize.
Yeah, 2 minutes, but Dr. Burke, please answer.
Okay.
The administrators did agree to furlough, so that provides savings in our administrative line. We did talk to the teachers. To be honest with you, if you look at the average cost of what it would cost for one day for all of our teaching staff, and that's our biggest unit, right? That's the most employees that we have across the district. It would save about, if we had every teacher furlough one day, it would save about 140, roughly. I might have my numbers quite right. And then the concern too is that that in subsequent years, you have to make up that deficit. Yeah, so the contractual obligations, so furloughing is one of the ways that that frequently happens, but there have been conversations with the unions about that. And we did, looking at the pros and cons of any type of gifts that they could have. So we
Yes, Brad, please.
The Board of Selectmen voted to adjust the values for the cars, because the state allows them to do that now, add an additional 5%. So instead of looking at an $800,000 reduction in cars, the latest projection is $240,000. Wow. So it's coming up.
Jeremy Finn, 26, Drummond's Lane, Bethel, Connecticut. Yes, the star of human. Mr. Alex, good to see you.
Good to see you.
I'm in a unique position here as a senior in high school. I'm going to be graduating in the spring, so I'm mainly not talking for myself, but I'm talking for the faculty that have supported me and my underclassmen peers who are going to continue in the arts. Aside from the arts though, which I'm sure you know I'll be talking about, I'm also in special ed. I was diagnosed with dyslexia my freshman year, and that journey has been incredibly difficult for me. But through paraeducators, through the STEP program, and through every teacher here at Bethel High School, I have been able to get past that through Wilson program, which I really hope you don't cut. That's for kids with dyslexia, to remediate them, teach them how to read, basically. And because of music staff, because of paraeducators, because of social workers, people in the guidance office, a kid like me didn't drop out. A kid like me is going to college and following his dreams. And a kid like me is willing to stand up and talk to all of you because I want to make change. And I urge all of the parents here to talk to your kids about what's happening and tell them to get in this room and advocate for themselves. Every single parent should be doing it. I have shed tears because of the risk of budget cuts. We can't let this happen. I know it's not your fault, but you guys gotta fight like hell to make sure that it doesn't change, that we keep pushing, that we keep teaching our kids. Thank you. Also, stay angry. That's the only way anything's gonna get done.
What a tough act to follow. I think I have to sit down.
2 minutes now.
All right, I'll be quick. I was in a lot of your presentations. You have a very difficult job. I wish the people in this room were there to hear a lot of them. I hope you all go home saying, next year I'm going to go listen to every one of those budgets. It's a difficult job that these people have. However, I have a complaint. I was there the night that you had the library board cut. You never discussed anything. The chairman said $30,000. The rest of the board voted yes. No discussion. Very unfair. Please put our money back. Okay? Thank you.
I hear you, Mary. And I just want a quick little story. Last year, we deliberated at a $93 million budget. There was 0 watching us. But I got on Facebook, because I always like to watch, there was 94 people talking about dog poop on the football field. So get involved. Just like Jeremy said, get involved, know what you're doing. I appreciate everybody out here tonight, but just get involved and understand the whole town. There's 20,000 people that live in this town, so I appreciate everybody coming. Please.
Hi guys, my name is Jonathan Dos Santos. I live at 104 Lexington Boulevard. I just wanted to kind of start off by saying, whenever people talk about the teachers that are potentially going to get cut. I am amongst that mix. So I've only been here for 3 years. I graduated from this high school. I came back to this high school because I love this school so much. And like when I applied here, I was like, I want to make a difference in the community that I grew up in. And it's sucks to see it, honestly, because like I'm a big sports guy. I coach soccer here, and like besides just sports, our music programs at risk, our arts programs at risk, our OTC, every single person that I come in touch with every single day. I have kids that do so much here, and it just sucks to see that that's at risk. So from the bottom of my heart, I ask to please consider this and please put money back if possible. You know, like my job could potentially be at risk. Several people's jobs are at risk, and it's a very dangerous time for a lot of us. So please take that into account and do what's right. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
My name is Robin Rivera. I live at 2 Farnham Hill. I sit on the library board, and so the major cuts that have been made to the library board budget will really have an effect on the bottom line and the services of the library, as we've been told by several people. The cut of $36,000 from our original ask really boils down to less than $3 a year for families, and considering what the library offers for children, for teens. I don't know how many people actually on the board or here use the library, but if you don't, you should really check it out because it's changed a lot in the last few years, and it's quite an incredible place and a safe zone for children and teens after school. So my ask is definitely that you restore the library budget to the ask we gave you. Thanks.
Good evening, Tia Murphy, 37 Lind Lane. And I too am on the library board. I would ask, kindly, I'll just start out by saying, kindly please, we would ask that y'all restore as much as you can to the library budget. I understand this is very difficult decisions that have to get made, and everybody is looking for something about that. But as much as you can restore, please do. Why? Well, we talk about how important education is, and it truly is when people are looking at a community. One of the other things that every realtor will tell you is the next question after they ask about the education, they just say, by the way, what's your library like? And we have an extraordinary library. If you don't have a library card, kindly please go get one. If you haven't been to the library lately, please go and see it. It's changed remarkably. It serves every member of the community. And it serves from, I always like to say, from birth to death. But my fellow board members think that's a little too much. But if you really think about it, from the time children are very young and come to the story time, to the time when people are like myself, retired after a long, I'm a recovering corporate executive, so, you know, I'm here, I'm on a fixed income, so, you know, I am concerned about every penny, but I really think there is a remarkable resource here in town that we really need to make sure we fund it as best we can and try and give back as much as possible. I just want to end by saying thank you to everybody who serves in these capacities. As a volunteer myself for lots of different reasons, I know how complicated this can be and how much time and dedication this is. So thank you all for taking the time to do this very important work and to be as serious about looking at all of this as you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My name is Laura Blake, 63 Nail Crossing Main Street. I also want to say thank you for the jobs that you do because they are often thankless and we do appreciate them. I am a 27-year teacher. I'm a veteran teacher, and I very much believe that special education support is needed in the state. I have a daughter who's attending here and is a junior in high school, and I'd like to give her a chance to speak.
Hello, I'm Sophia Allen, 63 and a half Grassy Glen Street. I have been a student at Bethel High School since kindergarten, and as hard as school can be sometimes, is where I learned, found myself, and found my community. I can remember every single teacher that I've had since elementary school because they've all impacted my life tremendously. Specifically, my music teachers have helped me become the person I am today. Theater, although I don't take part of it in school anymore, but I do take part of it in Parks and Rec, and Tri-M, which work very hard on self-funding and the students' fundraising, are some of the reasons why I keep my grades up. I truly believe that music and arts programs are fundamental for the success of many students in this school, including myself. I can't even draw a stick figure, and the arts teachers always say hi to me. They let me go in their room if I need a minute or a break, and especially the music teachers have always been with me. I was able to find a career that I truly care about, which is actually music therapy. I wouldn't have known about that if it wasn't for my middle school choir teacher, Miss Hannah. If it truly only takes $10 a month, I hope people will see it in their hearts to put the money back and support future generations and the future of this country. And also the library, because my grades would not be as high as they are today if it wasn't for me studying at the library this year.
Hi, Beatrice Tucker, 76 Worcester Street. This is my second time speaking for the budget, and I also this time don't have anything prepared. But I'm a current junior in high school, and so this budget cut is very, very much going to affect my education for my senior year in high school, which is debatably the most important high school year that a student can have. I did not go to Bethel for the elementary or middle school. I went to a smaller school in Newtown, and I started strings in 3rd grade there because it was required. If it was not required, I do not think that I would have gotten into it, and a lot of my friends that play also would not have gotten into it. It is very, very important to start music at a young age. It helps with so much. Reading music is a lifelong skill that you have. And a lot of people do not have the privilege of being able to read music because we were not taught at a young age. Along with that, the teachers, the music department, the art department, really everyone here has made me feel like I have a reason to come to school. Without the music department, I would not be coming to school. My mom spoke earlier, and she spoke on that a little bit, but I have thought about switching to online school so many times, and I'm not joking when I have told her no, but then I wouldn't have the music department. I wouldn't be able to go to those classes, see my friends that I met there. And so many other people will not have that chance to experience those bonds and those experiences if the music department suffers cuts. Along with that, I didn't know that the library was at risk, but I would also like to speak on that. Because the school that I went to for middle school did not allow technology at all. I was not allowed computers, I was not allowed to write on a computer, I was not allowed to do research on computers. And many people do not have the money to be able to go out and buy a book on African geography every time that they have to do a project. It's just not feasible. And I spent so many hours in that library doing research of the books that they had because that's what was available to me and that's what I could use. And I would not have been able to complete those projects without the library and the resources that it has. That's all I have to say.
Hello, my name is Isabella Valenti, and I'm at 16 Partridge Drive. All I want to say is that music and theater is not just a hobby, it's some of our future. As someone who has an IEP in school and has dyslexia, it's very hard for me to come to school, but music and theater are some of the main reasons why I can go to school and feel wanted. We have 4 periods a day, and sometimes we stay after school for hours because we are dedicated to this program and we care. We grow relationships and grow life skills. We have courage and confidence to get up on stage and tell a story.
I'm not an academic bucket, but I am someone who is passionate about music and theater. I'm an honors choir triumph in the honor society. I would like to mention that because I have dyslexia, I have trouble, speaking in front of people, but theater has made me grow to feel comfortable with myself. I never really told people I had dyslexia because I was embarrassed, but theater has made me realize that it's not something to be embarrassed about. I just need to, take pride in what I do. And theater, I have to memorize scripts and lines and read a script to everyone and tell a story, and I think that is very important. We have so many good relationships with each other. I found long lost friends, long friends in life, and I go to my music teacher every day, every in the morning. I talk to her. We grow so much great connections, and they're not just in high school, they're forever. And I think that if we do get rid of something music, it is devastating to all of us because we've grown so comfortable with ourselves and we have so much good relationships with everyone in music, and it helps us realize who we are, and it's really helpful. Music is, that's all I have to say.
Hi, I'm Haley Waller. I live at 53 Booster Street in Bethel, Connecticut. As a junior here at Bethel High School, the proposed budget cuts and the feeling of my education being threatened is absolutely appalling. I have been enrolled in the school since I was in kindergarten and immediately have felt the most safe when I'm at school. I'm a 3-season athlete and am involved in other extracurriculars that are art-based, honors choir, triumph, theater, jazz choir, and so many other things. It is easy to say that these programs are what have kept me going. My education is incredibly reliant on these programs, and with the cut of funding to these schools is a threat on mine and so many others' reasons to keep going to school, to keep trying, to keep on living for some. Like previously stated before, things such as art and music have become so important for many of my peers. I ask myself the question, where would I be without sports? Where would I be without music or other art? Who would I be friends with? How would I act right now? That is a question that I do not want to answer. I don't want it to be answered possibly in the future. This wouldn't just be a loss of some of these programs either. It's a loss of some of the people as well. Some of the teachers that I have connected with the most and spent so much of my time with that are at risk. I feel more connected to them sometimes more than I feel connected with my other friends or my parents, for an example. People are losing their jobs, which sets off a ripple effect of so many other losses within these people's lives. These educators and programs that they run or support or do so much more important things, it is a threat to the education of me, my peers, the children to come. A threat to the future. Restore the budget for the schools, restore the budget for the future.
Good evening, my name is Gabriela Hernandez. I'm here to speak on behalf of my tax dollars. I am firmly requesting that you reinstate and augment the school budget as presented by Dr. Carver initially, and also the library budget. To speak specifically about the early childhood cuts that were asked. I think just to add, it's a bit disingenuous to say that the Board of Finance or the Board of Selectmen didn't have anything to do with these budget cuts, when in fact it was because of your requests that we are here. So, to that, cutting early childhood programs is deplorable. It's devastating to the overall health and wellness of an education system, of a larger community as a whole. What are you doing to reinstate those child care spots that families depend on? Those things have ripple effects, like many have said before, and it's going to impact whether or not people stay in town, what services, private businesses, things like that. It has an impact, let alone the negative, detrimental impact that cutting early childhood programs is. It is documented study after study that the benefits of early childhood education is necessary for any community to thrive. What is the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen doing to advocate for better cost-sharing programs, to what is being done so that the increases that you knew were coming for over a year what was being done to mitigate that increase? Is there some sort of account that can be, some sort of endowment that can be made so that in the coming years, when the inflation happens, because I'm requesting that we reinstate the school budget like Dr. Carver presented initially and the library had initially. I am really saddened, angered, hurt that the Republican-led Board of Finance and Board of Selectmen are doing this to our town, when in fact they knew that these things were coming. So why were we not better prepared? Thank you.
One of the things that the town has done to prepare is a couple years ago, the Board of Selectmen set up a tax stabilization fund. I believe the Board of Finance voted on it also. And what that does is allows, if we have good revenue years, to put $500,000 in it, and then during the budget process, use $500,000 of it to offset some of the mill rate increase. That was done last year. The plan calls for it doing it again this year. So this is the increase that we're talking about of 3.98% mill rate increase is reduced to that point because of that 500,000. It would have been higher without it. So they've done some planning. I just wanted to point that out because most people aren't aware of it.
Thank you, Brett. Please. We're not screaming from the audience. If you want to get back in line. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Brett, if you would explain the CNR and the highway department and what we have striven to provide in terms of not bonding money and to make reserves for cash.
Over the last number of years, the town through the Board of Finance has increased the CNR account. It used to be funded to the tune of $225,000
Can you
a year.
explain what the CNR is?
Yeah, I'm gonna. CNR stands for capital non-recurring. So the plan has been to get that yearly funding up higher. The current budget that we're in now for 2025 funds it to the tune of $1 million. The proposed budget for 2026 funds it to the tune of $1 million. What that in essence does is gives the Board of Finance and Board of Selectmen money to buy capital items so that we're not looking to buy plow trucks or doing road constructions through the budget, but other capital items and not putting it on the town credit card to increase our debt long term.
My name is Michael Tella, 8 Hollyberry Drive. I have 2 children in the Bethel School District. One's a special needs. So a couple of minutes, I was in band. I started 3rd grade. I played 4 instruments up through high school, but I grew up in Port Chester, New York, which was lower middle class area. My mother was a teacher for 42 years, so the board fighting and the bond and the budget is nothing new to me. But simple math tells me, based on what I'm hearing, all the numbers, I'm going to make this short and sweet. It looks like you're looking for 1.25 million, and you got 20,000 people in the town. If you cut that number in half to 10,000 taxpayers, that's $125 a month. Am I doing my math right? Something like that?
So if
am I in the ballpark?
So if the Board of Finance added back $750,000.
I'm talking about 1.25 million.
All right. If you added back 1.25
for everybody.
Yeah. Yep. So if the Board of Finance added back $1,250,000 to the budget, yep. The mill rate would increase to 30.79 instead of 30.33.
Okay.
And then to figure out what it would cost somebody depends on what their house is appraised at.
Okay.
House appraised at $500,000. Without adding back the $1.25 million, the tax bill is going to go up roughly $400.
So $400 a month or a year?
A year. So that's the budget that is proposed right now.
No, I'm sorry, no,
I'm getting there.
Okay, good.
So if the $1,250,000 was added back, that increase goes from $406 or roughly $400 to $560
so
for that house.
$160?
Correct.
A year?
A year, yes.
So you guys are on the Board of Finance, right? $160 a year, and we're talking about this right now? No offense, it seems like we're squabbling over pennies, but let me ask you a question. Who taught you how to do math? Who taught you how to do math?
Bethel High School. My parents probably taught me to do math before I started school, but
Stop cutting teachers.
Kim Romero, 114 Chestnut Ridge Road, and you probably don't even need the microphone here, the legal office.
So first of all, thank you for everyone for coming tonight, Board of Ed, Board of Finance, and all the people that are here. It shows the passion that our town has for our education system in particular. I know we didn't talk a lot about the town, but particularly with the education process. I have two children in this town. One is a graduating senior and one is a sophomore. And they are two very different children who benefit from the programs here in Bethel. My son is in the National Honor Society. He is in the National World Language Society. He is a three-season athlete for the track program here in Bethel, in addition to all the other things he does with ROTC. My daughter, on the other hand, also is in all the honors and the AP classes as a sophomore, but she is involved and is in ROTC, and she is involved in the music program. And I can't tell you how much these programs have benefited my children. For my son, the ROTC program was absolutely amazing. Graduating senior, this Friday, we're going to the military ball. I'm going to cry the whole time I'm there. It's the most amazing thing. My daughter also in that program, but I have to talk about her with music in particular. Her teachers here in Bethel have been phenomenal. I know Mrs. Hanneman spoke earlier. That's where she really developed her love. Severe anxiety for my child, and she would throw up before every single thing. Before going to school during the pandemic, she would throw up. She did not want to go to school. The only reason she came to school was for music, and the only reason she came was because of what they would do for her. She is now in the national triumph. Here she has performed on stage, and on Friday she will be singing the national anthem in front of everybody for the ball. So on stage, this is huge. So that's my background. I do appreciate everybody here, and I do believe that we need to put the money back in. But I do want to talk about Dr. Carver's budget presentation for a minute. She has been putting out everything, weekly, all the time. You're getting all over it. It's on, on Parent Square, it's on email, it's on the internet, it's everywhere. There are all these proposed cuts. They are proposed. I do want you to think about, and Dr. Carver, you as well, when you do this, what are you cutting? When you decide, and when this does get cut, and I'm sorry, it's my 2 minutes, but think about it. What is the one that affects the students the most? And I really need you to think about where those cuts come from. Are we going to cut an art teacher who is going to be with students, or are we going to cut something in administration somewhere, a secretary or an administrative position that doesn't necessarily go to a student? I don't want to cut anyone, I truly don't, but I want you to think about where you put those cuts. What is the effect on our students? Because I can show you, everybody here has talked about that today, how much these programs really impact their students, so thank you.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Jackson, I'm at 29 Sunset Hill Road. I have a 17-year-old senior, and I have a first grader. Both are special needs, ADHD, autism, dyslexia, which mixed bag. A school nurse, paraprofessional, they're not line items. These people are vital components to my child's success. You don't need to have severe disabilities, needs and support. Some kids do. We need to. I think it is very financially short-sighted. I think it is culturally short-sighted. I think our property values, it is short-sighted to undercut the schools. They are sacrosanct. You cannot go after the, I didn't plan to speak, so my thoughts are laid together, my apologies. But for a circle of friends to go down to, you are setting those kids up for failure. That will follow them. It is not, the preschool cannot be moved to half day. That is unconscionable. It is unconscionable. What are we, my children, I like to say my kids were an athlete. We weren't in the arts department necessarily. But I know what a lifeline it was for so many kids, for me, from them. It is, you cannot, there are certain things, what is a society without its culture? We are cutting everything cultural. I mean, the library, the arts, music, these are the things that make a culture worth having. These are things that are important. I think we're undervalued. Very short-sighted. As to that woman's point, are we planning for the increases that are coming? Because we can't just keep taking this down the road. We know that the school district is going to get bigger. If we're running into these issues now, where is the planning? It's coming, like we all see it. You're going to need, if this budget was tight, it was going to be another 5 years. I mean, there needs to be more planning of things, and I'm disappointed by how short-sighted this decision has been. Please, excuse me, I'm sorry. And as a previous employee of the library, you are undervaluing
important the library is to your community. Maybe you don't go there, but it is a literal lifeblood for teens who need a safe space, someone coming in with a black eye looking for a book on domestic violence. You are cutting literally a lifeline. You need the schools, the libraries. This is our culture. These are the things worth protecting. You fully fund them.
Thank you.
Hey, my name is Tristan Scott. I live at 30 Deer Run. I graduated from Bethel High School last year, and I'm currently studying statistics at the University of Connecticut. So if you want to talk numbers, give me a couple years. Today, I want to talk. Thank you. Today, I want to talk more about my personal experience at the school, and more so the summer afterwards with what the school has taught me. My first 3 years, I kind of just lazed about. I didn't do anything. You know, I went to school, went to my classes, learned things, left. My final year, I decided, you know what? I want to push myself. I want to be happy. So I started involving myself in the music department. Thank you. In the music department. I was in the pit for theater my last year. I was in the jazz band. I played guitar for the past like 7 years. None of it added up to how much that last year meant to me. All 6 of those years, none of it added up to how much that last year meant to me. In my final year, I was pushed by my music teacher, by my students around me, to pursue music at a level that I never pursued it before. And since graduating, I've actually started a band with a friend of mine. I don't know if you know him. His name is Jeremy Finn. And you know, that special education he was talking about him being dyslexic, we wrote a song about that, and now it's over 15,000 streams on Spotify. None of that would have been possible without the music department at this school. All the memories that I have made performing live in front of audiences, performing with my friends, would not have been made without the music department at this school. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Christian Español, 149 of Hollywood Road. I was sent here by my daughter. She's in high school and my kid in middle school. When I caught the check in last time for the taxes that are coming, right? I didn't came here to Bethel 2 years ago because of lower taxes. I came because of community. I came because there is a great school. I checked your numbers, and you're right. The efficiency of this school is through the roof. $1.2 million from someone who actually pays taxes for in everything. I was with a tear doing the check. I was doing that. And then I said check again and another tear, right? But we need the community. We need this. I'm pretty sure as a town we can come together and get the school and the library fully funded. That's it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak for the first time? All right, is our board ready to go to second round? There's some people that drive pretty far, but I will let you finish up the meeting.
So I appreciate the time you all volunteer to this. I know that the Board of Selectmen have a stipend, so you're paid to be here. One of the things...
There's not a Board of Selectmen here. All the Board of Finance do not get paid $1.
I said thank you for volunteering your time.
But you said something about the stipend.
So it was a mistake. Thank you for the correction.
Thank you.
I wanted to add that I do like paying my taxes. My taxes provide for the social services that are vital. Like people have been saying, the cultural cornerstones in an area that's worth living. I suggest you look into the police budget. Like somebody else said, the license plate scanners are a civil rights concern. I'm pretty sure there are other line items that we can look through that would also fall under civil rights concerns. So that's one place you can definitely start looking for some money. The other thing I wanted to add is every single decision that is being made in this town should have a long-term, sustainable lens to look at. The roofs need to be done. We should probably put solar on those roofs and, have the electricity directly into the schools, have that be provided to the town, for people to plug in different things that could offset the cost even more. So those are the types of examples that I'm giving to you as suggestions to look at different areas of the budget to find places where other things can be cut if, for some reason, that, what was it, $125 something for the year increase. Again, it's one of those moments in time where we really have to look at what we are prioritizing as a town. The comments today reflect the town wanting to reinstate the full budget for the library and the school district as a whole. I think it's really important to make sure that people's livelihoods, people's sense of safety are considered. It isn't just you all, potentially buying second homes or anything like that, but it's the everyday lives of people that are impacted. Pink slips were given out the other day. Those things have an impact. That is a family that's thinking about whether or not to stay, whether or not to move, what services are going to be available. It's really unfortunate that we're standing here fighting for something so basic to everybody's human rights, the right to education, the right to access to information and education. The library and the schools are cornerstones for any community to be healthy, functioning, thriving, and economically viable. So please take that into consideration, and I hope that my tax dollars are being put to good use, not falling by the wayside so that next year or a couple of years from now, we are in this hole, we're losing accreditation, and really our town is devastated because of the lack of foresight overall. So thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
30-second question.
Nick, can I just add one thing?
Yes, Brett, please.
Just as a point of reference, so there's 3 buildings in the school complex that have solar on top of it, Rockwell and Johnson and Track and Field Center. We will look at putting solar on top of the other buildings when the roofs are done. It doesn't make sense to put solar on and when you need a new roof in the next couple of years. Yeah.
So I just have a really quick question to wrap things up, because I think there's a lot of people here and online that want to understand what happens next. We all shared our concerns and asked for money to be put back in the budget. I think some of us are confused on if that's we understand that is an option. So I think just if someone from
I'll be glad to answer that. Tomorrow night, we have another scheduled meeting at Town Hall to go over any adjustments that we'd recommend. And obviously, we talked with our comptroller, and then it goes back out to the voters. So, I'm sorry, there's a town meeting also, and then it goes out to a referendum. I believe the referendum is April 22nd?
Yeah. So is the meeting tomorrow night open to the public?
Of course. This is always, everybody's more than welcome.
It is a public meeting, but there's no public comment.
Okay.
This was the night for public comment.
Where and what time?
Did you have another question?
Yeah. Where and what time?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's 7 o'clock, meeting room A at the Town Hall. That's the first walk in the center of the building. Yeah, there's also a link. You can look on our agenda. It's Google Meet, Zoom, I call it, but you can also get online also.
So if there's an opportunity, sorry, just one last question. I know I said I had one. If there's an opportunity for money to get put back into the budget, is it happening tomorrow night or?
Yes.
Okay.
We're not screaming from the audience.
What about town hearing?
What about the town hearing? This is our public hearing.
So there is April 2nd.
April 2nd, there's a town meeting also, and Brad can explain that. It's April 2nd.
At the town meeting, the public can vote to make reductions. They cannot vote to make additions. So the last chance to make additions before it goes to the public, for the vote is tomorrow night. Yes.
Wait a minute.
Yes, Cynthia.
I just want to point out that all meetings conducted by the Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen, Board of Education are open to the public, and they are all available on video on YouTube. If it's a regular meeting, the Board of Finance meets every second Tuesday of the month, and there is public input in the very first part of the agenda. I would just encourage everybody who's interested in the budget and the process and all the deliberations that go on in public to come to the meetings or watch the videos. It's really informative. It pieces out every step of the way. And that way, it won't be a surprise because discussions are going on all the time. So it's just that people, when they get this information and they come to the public hearing, it's all going on. So I just would invite you to look into that, and you can watch the videos on the YouTube, on the Bethel 10 YouTube channel.
I had called Dave Carter earlier today. I had a couple of questions in preparation for tonight, and in part of the discussion, I asked him, how does the Board of Finance, the board determine what they believe the threshold is for how much our taxes can increase as a town, what we're going to be able to bear? I feel like the board sort of, you don't have 20,000 people telling you what we all think to be. You have to try to make some assumptions of what you think how people are going to vote for something. And I would just urge you to, instead of assuming that, they're never going to pass this because we're asking for too much. Let's not assume that everyone here, I think everyone in this room would say, we'll pay the extra $450, whatever it was, the numbers that were given earlier a month for your house. We're not talking a lot of money here. We divide it amongst the whole town. So I would just say, let's put it out there. Doesn't pass, it doesn't pass, but at least, give us an opportunity to do it. This is the last time we can speak. Now you're going to go and crunch your numbers, and we can't say add anything back in. It's just going to go down, and you're forcing us to vote on something you never agreed to. So that's what I would like to say. Just if there's a way
I would say we're all elected and we're volunteers, and obviously we all live in different neighborhoods, and we talk to people year-round. And this is not just about a public hearing. We talk to the people at the Civic Mart. We talk to the people at the gas stations. They all approach us. There's a lot of people that have our cell phone numbers. So we take all this in consideration. We watch the different towns, what budgets can go through. And if this budget doesn't go through, and there's an advisory question, it's a very dangerous thing. We all work really hard to get to the lowest possible budget with it passing, because that's the most important. We can't afford any other budget cuts. So I just want to say one thing to the chairman's comments. I talk to a lot of people. I ask them, if I find out they live in Bethel, I ask them clearly, what do you think about taxes, affordability, a lot of different things in town. And tonight, everybody's done the math and said it only costs $125 a month. That's not the problem. They can't afford the $8,000 that they're trying to pay from last year, not the increase of this year. So we have to be considerate to all of the population of Bethel. It's not $125, it's the big picture, okay? And everybody should be able to be welcome in Bethel. Thank you. Just for the record, everybody knows that's my twin brother, Prince. Alice, we're going to go, and I'm being really lax here.
I have to say, the public hearing is the only opportunity for the public to add to the budget. Fine. Then it goes to you. Why is this not a mandate?
I understand what you're saying, but I'm sorry. It's a public hearing to hear everybody's opinion.
Right. So people took their time to come here tonight to tell you what their thoughts were on the budget that you have brought to us. What I'm hearing is a room full of people that addressed two specific areas of the budget and said, take it all the way to the end and let the voters decide, which would be actually the smartest move that you can make, because otherwise I think everyone that took their time tonight is going to be really pissed off. So, I mean, I'm saying is, it may be something to consider, to listen to. I mean, there were hundreds of people here tonight, took the time to come and tell you what they thought. You present a budget at the public hearing that can only be reduced, no matter where it is in the budget. And that is the beginning of the referendum. The public hearing is the front part, the referendum. You don't adjourn a public hearing, you go straight to referendum. So once we leave this room, there is no further comment. And that's my charter, that's how the town works. That is a town meeting form of government. So fair is fair, we all came tonight. But I just want to tell you, read the room.
Thank you.
That we receive letters, people take the time to write us letters, people call us, people text us. So it's great that everyone comes out. Not everyone can come out. People have taken a lot of time to communicate with us. So it's not just to hear. We hear from many, many people. Would you agree, Mr. Chair?
That people call us
They call.
all day long, and again, we're here to listen, we're elected, we're giving your time, and there's a lot of factors here, okay? So I think everybody understands it. It's a tough job. Brad, you're going to finish it, and we're done.
Okay, I got 2 quick points. First is something I don't think you guys could say, but I think I can say it.
Okay.
And that is, I spend an awful lot of time looking at the proposed increases for a lot of towns. Bethel has the second highest percentage increase request right now than any of our neighboring communities. So most of the towns near us are talking, and they're arguing like this, over a 3% raise increase, or even a 2.7%. So I think there needs to be some perspective that we're not operating in a vacuum. We are all aware of things that are going on in other communities. This is a tough budget cycle for everybody, period. Second point I want to make, and I know it's not going to be popular what I'm
The
saying.
last point, right?
Second and last, so we can all go home to bed, yes. The second point I want to make is, the folks who came here tonight, many of them have these professionally pre-printed signs. It's obvious that there has been a full court press to fill the room with people that support the schools. And I don't have a problem with that, but I think it is disingenuous. It is disingenuous to consider that there are other citizens in the town who aren't as organized and didn't show up tonight and didn't have pre-printed signs.
Brad, we're not doing this.
All I'm saying is,
Finish your thought. Penny, please sit down. We're done.
all I'm saying is, there are multiple instances where it goes all the way to the referendum, and it wasn't enough money, it gets voted down. People have an option when they vote to indicate whether the request was too high or too low. That gives you feedback to go back, retune it, and fix it. So this is not the be-all and end-all. This is not, we're not looking over a cliff. There's an actual process that has a safety net built into it, and I think people just need to recognize that. That's all.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak again. How dare you?
Did you have it? I'm sorry.
I came into this room, a personal citizen and a resident of this town. I had nothing to do with any signs, any buttons. They were here. I didn't bring them in.
No one said
It was just said that there was a concerted effort. You know why there's a concerted effort? Because this town is tired of having the town and the school budget beat each other up. We are tired of it. And all I heard tonight was that what this budget is doing, it is pitting the administrators against the teachers, against the nurses, against the library, against the this, against the police. This is wrong. There was not a concerted effort to do anything except come and talk to you. So, that's it.
Thank you.
No, I just
25th, there is a seminar about how town government works. So if you're confused about the process and what goes here and what comes next, it's going to be very worthwhile to attend that. You know, Bethel has a town meeting form of government that's unique. It's unique to New England, and we're one of the few towns left to do it this way. But it gives you all the opportunity to participate in this process. And if you're unsure about how that works, look into attending that seminar. So the 25th, I'm not sure where it will be. Library?
Municipal Center, General Purpose Room, 7 o'clock.
There you go. Municipal Center, General Purpose Room, 7 o'clock. Bring all your kids too. They need to learn how to adult.
Thank you everybody for coming out tonight.